The sun of the twin stars shone brightly over the Luminar sector's capital, its golden light reflecting off the glass spires of the royal palace. Commander Rylan adjusted the collar of his uniform as he walked through the courtyard, each step echoing on the smooth stone. Despite the awards and honors that lined his quarters back on the starship Aurora, he felt the weight of expectation pressing on him like gravity. He had been called here, not for strategy meetings or inspections, but for something far more personal. It was no secret that the princess, Alara, had become the symbol of hope for the sector. Her intelligence, curiosity, and grace had earned admiration across planets, and her people believed in her vision for a united galaxy. Yet the galaxy was vast, and even the brightest stars could be surrounded by shadows. Rylan had learned this lesson the hard way. Weeks earlier, a sudden ambush had thrown the royal convoy into chaos. Rogue starships had appeared without warning, skimming the atmosphere of the palace city and casting strange, swirling lights across the sky. Rylan had been among the few human officers stationed near the convoy. He had watched as the royal ship, carrying Princess Alara, came under what could have been a devastating attack. Without hesitation, he had moved toward her, guiding her into a protective hold as the convulsing lights passed. The princess had trusted him instantly, her small hand gripping his sleeve, and for the first time he had seen fear mirrored in the eyes of royalty, not for herself, but for the people who depended on her. The attack had ended almost as suddenly as it began. No one was harmed, yet the memory lingered like a shadow in Rylan's mind. People praised him, called him a hero, and even Alara had smiled at him in private, her gratitude silent but deep. But the Queen, Aaron, had remained distant, her eyes observing him with a mixture of caution and something he couldn't quite place. Now, standing in the sunlit courtyard, he felt that same unease. The palace guards acknowledged him with respectful nods, yet he sensed whispers behind the tall marble columns. Even in peace, duty demanded vigilance. He straightened his back, reminding himself that being human in a galaxy of alien civilizations was more than just physical presence. It was about intellect, strategy, and integrity. He entered the grand hall, where tapestries depicting the history of the Luminar sector hung from towering walls. The air smelled faintly of polished stone and warm candles. At the far end of the hall, Princess Alara was examining a star map projected above a hollow table, her brow furrowed in concentration. Her focus on the map reminded Rylan of why he had chosen to serve, not for medals or recognition, but for moments like this, when human skill could safeguard the future of the galaxy. "Commander Rylan," she said softly without looking up. Her voice carried calm authority, yet there was warmth in it that few could ignore. "I didn't expect to see you here today." "I received the Queen's summons," Rylan replied, keeping his tone formal, though inside he felt the familiar stir of anticipation. "I understand you are preparing for your diplomatic mission." Alara finally looked up, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, time seemed to pause. She studied him as if weighing not only his abilities but his loyalty. "Yes," she said. "I leave in a few days. The neighboring systems are uncertain, and I must convince them that our alliance is stronger together than apart." Rylan nodded. "Then we must ensure every precaution is taken. I will review the convoy's routes, the starship's shields, and the communication protocols. Anything to protect your journey." Alara's lips curved into a slight smile. "Your dedication is noted, Commander, but the Queen, she is reluctant to allow human officers direct involvement this time. She says humans are brave, but perhaps too unpredictable in delicate situations." Rylan felt a familiar tension tighten around his chest. He had faced countless dangers across systems, from rogue satellites to unstable wormholes, and yet the politics of royalty remained more treacherous than any cosmic anomaly. He knew the Queen's caution was not personal, yet it stung. He had risked his life to save her daughter, and now that very act seemed to have placed him at a distance he could not bridge. "I understand," he said quietly, masking the flicker of frustration. "But I will do everything in my power to ensure the princess's safety, even from afar." Alara nodded, her eyes reflecting gratitude and resolve. "I know you will. That is why I trust you, Commander Rylan, even if the Queen cannot see it yet." The conversation was interrupted by the soft hum of the palace doors opening. Queen Aaron entered, her presence commanding yet serene. Her robes, woven with the colors of the sector's twin stars, flowed elegantly behind her. She paused at the entrance, observing both Rylan and her daughter with her signature composed gaze. "Commander," she said, her voice calm but firm, "you have done well, and for that I commend you." Her eyes lingered on him, measuring, searching. However, courage alone does not earn trust. Diplomacy is a delicate dance, and loyalty is tested in ways that bravery cannot anticipate. Rylan bowed slightly. "I understand, Your Majesty. My intent is never to overstep, only to serve." The Queen's gaze softened briefly toward her daughter before returning to Rylan. "You saved my child once," she said. "But the galaxy is wide, and human determination, while admirable, must prove itself repeatedly. You will have opportunities to show your worth. For now, observe and assist as permitted." Though her words were polite, the implicit boundary stung Rylan. He had hoped that his actions during the ambush would have earned him the Queen's full confidence. Yet he realized that true recognition was earned over time, through consistency, insight, and unwavering integrity. Alara stepped forward, placing a hand on her mother's arm. "Mother, he has proven himself already. I trust him with my life. You need not fear human loyalty." The Queen regarded her daughter with a mixture of pride and concern. "I do not doubt your judgment, Alara, but caution has guided our people for generations. We cannot allow sentiment alone to dictate decisions." Rylan remained silent, understanding that this was a conversation between mother and daughter, one he could not influence. Yet, he felt a quiet determination growing inside him. Recognition from royalty was important, yes, but the trust of the people and the respect of those he served mattered far more. He would demonstrate the strength of humanity not through words, but through action. The princess turned to him, her eyes sparkling with quiet determination. "We leave in 2 days. Prepare what you can, Commander. Even if the Queen refuses your direct presence, your guidance will still be vital." Rylan bowed once more. "As you wish, Princess." As he left the grand hall, the corridors of the palace stretched endlessly before him. Each step echoed with purpose. He thought of the ambush, of the chaos, and of the calm courage of Princess Alara amidst it all. She had inspired him, just as he had protected her. But he knew the path ahead was not only about protection. It was about demonstrating the intelligence, resilience, and ingenuity of humanity itself. The next day, Rylan walked among the palace staff, subtly observing, advising, and adjusting protocols. He reviewed communication links, improved shielding strategies for the transport vessels, and ensured navigation routes were optimized for safety. Each action was deliberate, quiet, and effective. Though he could not accompany the princess openly, he would still ensure her journey was secure. Meanwhile, Princess Alara moved among diplomats, studying their cultures, their priorities, and their hidden agendas. She trusted Rylan's advice, consulting him in private via secure channels. Together, they began forming strategies that balanced diplomacy with the subtle need for safety, relying on intellect, foresight, and cooperation rather than confrontation. Rylan marveled at how human ingenuity could extend influence even without direct authority. Small adjustments, subtle guidance, and strategic planning allowed them to anticipate challenges before they became problems. His heart swelled with pride, not for personal recognition, but for the reminder that humans could shape outcomes in even the most complex galactic scenarios. That evening, as twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the palace, Rylan stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights of distant starships glimmered like stars brought close, and he thought of the vastness of the galaxy. He thought of the trust placed in him, the delicate balance of duty, and the need for humans to prove themselves beyond brute courage. He understood more than ever that being human in the cosmos meant more than strength. It meant adaptability, foresight, and empathy. One day, perhaps, Queen Erin would recognize this too. Until then, he would serve quietly, intelligently, and steadfastly, just as he had done when he shielded Princess Alara during the ambush. And somewhere in the quiet chambers of the palace, the princess smiled at the subtle improvements, at the unseen guidance, and at the unwavering presence of a human who had proven that heroism was not always about action. It was about understanding, anticipation, and heart. The galaxy awaited, unpredictable and vast. But Rylan, even bound by rules and royal caution, was ready. For in protecting one life, he had discovered the true strength of humanity, a force that could endure, adapt, and inspire across worlds. And so, as the twin suns disappeared and the stars began to twinkle in the inky sky, Commander Rylan prepared himself for the days ahead, knowing that every small act, every careful plan, and every moment of patience would one day reveal the full measure of human courage. Intellect and resilience. The morning sun spilled over the palace gardens, turning the marble fountains into glittering cascades of light. Commander Rylan walked quietly along the pathways, observing the palace staff as they prepared for the princess's diplomatic journey. Even without direct permission to join her, he felt the pulse of responsibility in every step he took. The weight of duty was heavier than ever, yet he embraced it. Every decision, every small adjustment could mean the difference between success and disaster, even if the world never saw the human hand guiding it. Princess Alara moved with grace through the palace corridors, her mind full of calculations, strategies, and the subtleties of interstellar diplomacy. She consulted her advisors, analyzed star charts, and sent messages to planetary leaders. Yet she also made time to communicate with Rylan through secure channels, seeking advice on logistics and security. Their partnership had grown beyond simple duty. It was a quiet alliance built on trust, intellect, and mutual respect. The Queen's refusal to allow Rylan to accompany the princess directly hung over them both like a shadow. It was not anger or hostility. It was caution, tradition, and the weight of responsibility that only a monarch could understand. Rylan respected the Queen's position, but he also knew that the journey was fraught with unseen challenges. The galaxy, vast as it was, had taught him that danger often came in forms no one anticipated. As he walked, Rylan stopped at a terminal and began reviewing the transport schedules. Tiny adjustments in route timing could prevent collisions with uncharted space debris. Redundant communication channels ensured that no signal could be lost, even in solar storms. He ran simulations of every possible scenario, calculating outcomes with precision. This was the essence of his duty, to serve with intelligence, foresight, and calm determination. Meanwhile, Princess Alara visited the training grounds where her human advisors and the palace staff practiced the subtle art of diplomacy. Not everyone could wield a blade, but every gesture, every tone of voice, and every negotiation tactic was a weapon in its own right. The princess observed quietly, noting how small actions could prevent misunderstandings that might escalate into conflict. She reminded herself that her people were counting on her to lead with wisdom and insight, not just courage. Back in his quarters, Rylan continued to study the galactic charts, his eyes scanning for anomalies in neighboring systems. The human mind, he thought, had an incredible capacity for pattern recognition and foresight. Even the most cautious alien leaders underestimated human ingenuity, assuming that bravery alone defined humanity. They were wrong. Humanity thrived on strategy, adaptability, and empathy, qualities that no starship's shields or weaponry could replace. As days passed, minor incidents began to appear, subtle errors in supply shipments, delays in communication relays, and misaligned diplomatic schedules. While most would have dismissed these as bureaucratic mishaps, Rylan saw patterns. He traced each anomaly back to potential human error or technical oversight and implemented quiet corrections, often unseen by anyone but himself. Each adjustment was a silent safeguard, a shield of intellect protecting the princess without her knowing. Alara noticed the improvements, though she did not know the details. Supplies arrived on time, communications flowed smoothly, and minor crises that could have derailed her diplomatic mission were averted almost effortlessly. She trusted that someone was orchestrating these small miracles and had an inkling of who it might be. Even without the Queen's approval, Rylan's influence was already shaping the success of her journey. One afternoon, the princess and Rylan communicated via a secure holographic channel. "Commander," Alara began, "I notice everything is running smoothly. Shipments, messages, schedules, it all seems perfect." Rylan's image appeared calm and measured. "Small adjustments," he said simply. "Attention to detail, nothing more." Alara smiled, though a hint of admiration glimmered in her eyes. "It is more than nothing. It is the mark of someone who truly cares. Even when the Queen refuses your presence, you still protect and guide us." Rylan's lips pressed into a thin line. "My duty is to ensure your success, Princess. That is all that matters." Their conversation paused as both understood the unspoken truth. Recognition was not the goal. Effectiveness, reliability, and the quiet demonstration of human capability were far more important than applause. Meanwhile, Queen Erin convened with her advisors. "The human officer is unusual," she said quietly, her brow furrowed. "His influence is subtle but pervasive. Even when denied direct access, the outcomes favor our interests. I do not yet understand the measure of his loyalty." One advisor hesitated before replying, "Your Majesty, humans are known for determination. He may simply be acting according to principle. But there is also ingenuity. We have observed anomalies in systems that align perfectly with his known strategies." The Queen remained silent, considering. She respected intelligence, yet caution had always been her guide. Allowing a human to operate freely around her daughter was a risk she could not yet endorse. Still, the patterns of success were undeniable. Rylan was proving that human qualities extended far beyond simple courage. He was reshaping outcomes through intellect, adaptability, and foresight. The diplomatic mission approached. Princess Alara was scheduled to depart in a convoy of starships, each equipped with state-of-the-art technology and subtle protections implemented by Rylan. Though the Queen refused to allow him aboard, she agreed to let him coordinate from the palace. This compromise allowed Rylan to guide the mission indirectly, monitoring each step and intervening through technical and logistical adjustments. On the day of departure, the palace courtyard buzzed with activity. Dignitaries from neighboring systems arrived, their sleek ships gleaming in the morning light. Princess Alara moved among them with grace and composure, her presence commanding respect. Rylan watched from a distance, observing every interaction, every shift in mood, and every subtle gesture. He was ready to step in if necessary, but he trusted that the preparations and planning would suffice. The convoy lifted off, gliding smoothly into the heavens. From the palace observation deck, Rylan tracked their progress across multiple displays. He monitored energy outputs, communications signals, and navigational data. Tiny fluctuations that could signal trouble were corrected instantly through automated systems he had calibrated. Every step was a testament to human adaptability, an invisible hand ensuring the princess's safety. As the ships entered the expanse of space, Princess Alara marveled at the stars, distant suns twinkling against the darkness. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but also a sense of reassurance. Someone was guiding her journey, ensuring that no misstep would jeopardize the fragile alliances she sought to forge. She did not yet know the full extent of Rylan's work, but she trusted his presence even if unseen. Days passed, and the diplomatic mission unfolded smoothly. Planetary leaders responded positively to the princess's proposals, impressed by her insight, empathy, and strategic thinking. Minor issues that could have caused delays were averted seamlessly. Alara began to understand the depth of human capability, the way intelligence, foresight, and unwavering commitment could shape outcomes without force or confrontation. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the Queen observed from her chambers. She saw reports of the mission's success, yet her caution remained. Humans could be brilliant, but they were unpredictable. She could not yet place full trust in Rylan, despite the evidence before her. Still, even she could not deny the subtle effectiveness of his guidance. The mission's success reflected not only the princess's skill, but the invisible hand of human ingenuity. Late one evening, Princess Alara communicated with Rylan again. "Commander," she said, her tone quiet but firm, "I see now why the people trust you. Not just for your courage, but for your foresight, your intelligence, and your dedication. You are more than I imagined." Rylan's image appeared calm as ever. "I serve, Princess, that is all." Alara's eyes softened. "It is never just service. It is proof of what humanity can achieve. Even when the Queen doubts, you demonstrate strength in subtle ways. That is a power no starship or weapon can match." Rylan did not reply immediately, letting the words settle. He understood the meaning. Recognition was not always granted, and trust could take time to earn. Yet, the acknowledgement from someone like Princess Alara, whose judgment and insight rivaled the best of the galaxy, was more valuable than any formal award. The convoy continued its journey, each step guided by human ingenuity, each challenge met with calm intelligence. And as the stars stretched infinitely before them, Rylan reflected on the lesson that had become clear. Heroism was not always about action in the moment, but the quiet influence of foresight, preparation, and unwavering commitment. By the time the mission reached its midpoint, every planetary system they visited responded favorably. Alliances formed without conflict, misunderstandings were avoided, and progress was achieved through diplomacy and insight. Princess Alara's leadership shone, enhanced by the invisible guidance of the human commander who had once risked everything to protect her. And back at the palace, Queen Erin observed from afar. She could not deny the effectiveness of Ryland's work, yet her caution remained. Perhaps one day she would fully understand the depth of human resilience, ingenuity, and heart. Until then, she would continue to watch, evaluate, and measure the strength of this remarkable human who had proven that heroism could exist without violence, and that intelligence and dedication could protect as surely as courage ever could. Ryland, meanwhile, prepared for the next stages of the journey. He adjusted strategies, monitored communications, and anticipated potential challenges with precision. Every action, though invisible to most, reinforced a simple truth. Humans could protect, guide, and inspire without confrontation. The galaxy, vast and unpredictable, had finally begun to glimpse the quiet but undeniable power of humanity. And so, as the twin suns set behind the palace and the stars began to blanket the night sky, Commander Ryland continued his work, steadfast, intelligent, and unwavering. For in every adjustment, every prediction, and every silent act of guidance, he demonstrated the true strength of humans, a strength built on foresight, empathy, and the relentless pursuit of excellence, even when recognition was withheld. The journey had only just begun, and the galaxy awaited the next chapter of human ingenuity and courage. But for Ryland, every successful step, every quiet victory, and every demonstration of skill and insight was proof enough that heroism was not measured by applause, but by impact, patience, and the unyielding power of the human spirit. The convoy of starships glided silently. Through the void, each vessel reflecting starlight like shards of polished crystal. Commander Ryland monitored their progress from the palace's central command hub, his eyes scanning countless streams of data and communications. Though he could not accompany Princess Alara, he had orchestrated every detail of the journey, anticipating potential problems, rerouting supply lines, and optimizing communication channels. He had become an invisible guardian, guiding the mission from afar. Princess Alara, aboard her flagship, moved through the corridors with her usual poise, studying maps and reports. She sensed the subtle influence of Ryland's work. Small delays that might have caused frustration were corrected seamlessly. Communications that should have been slow were instantaneous. Supplies arrived at the right time and place, as if some unseen hand ensured perfect order. She realized with quiet admiration that someone was orchestrating this from a distance, ensuring the success of her diplomatic mission without fanfare or recognition. Meanwhile, the galaxy around them was shifting. Several neighboring systems were uncertain, their leaders wary of new alliances. Some were intrigued by Luminar's offer of unity, while others feared that joining might compromise their autonomy. Alara understood that diplomacy required patience, understanding, and subtlety. She relied on her instincts, her intelligence, and the guidance she received from her hidden advisor, Ryland. Together, they navigated the treacherous currents of interstellar politics. One morning, the princess convened a meeting with the leaders of 3 neighboring systems. The room was filled with holographic projections of trade routes, population data, and historical conflicts. The leaders spoke in cautious tones, questioning the benefits of joining the alliance. Alara listened carefully, noting every concern, every hesitation. She asked questions, sought clarification, and offered solutions. Her calm demeanor and clear reasoning impressed the leaders, gradually easing their fears. At the same time, Ryland observed remotely, analyzing their body language, tone, and responses. He suggested subtle adjustments to the communications link, changes in phrasing, emphasis, and pacing that would highlight cooperation and mutual benefit without overstepping diplomatic boundaries. His interventions were invisible but effective. By midday, the leaders had reached a preliminary agreement to consider joining the alliance, impressed by the princess's intelligence and foresight. Alara allowed herself a small smile, knowing that unseen guidance had contributed to the outcome. It was a reminder that heroism was not always about physical acts of courage. Sometimes it was about intelligence, planning, and the quiet ability to prevent failure before it even appeared. But the galaxy was unpredictable. As the convoy approached the neutral zone between two rival systems, subtle anomalies appeared. Sensor readings showed slight fluctuations in energy fields, minor misalignments in navigation markers, and discrepancies in communication signals. Most would have dismissed these as technical glitches, but Rylan knew better. He had learned long ago that even the smallest inconsistencies could escalate if ignored. He initiated a series of adjustments, recalibrating the navigation markers and rerouting communications through secure channels. At the same time, he coordinated with ship engineers remotely, ensuring that minor energy fluctuations were compensated in real time. Each adjustment was precise, executed without fanfare, yet it kept the convoy safe and operational. Princess Alara noticed the improvements but did not know their source. Supplies arrived just in time, messages flowed smoothly, and minor inconveniences were resolved instantly. She began to understand the depth of human ingenuity, the ability to adapt, anticipate, and solve problems without direct presence. Her trust in Commander Rylan grew, as did her respect for humanity's quiet power. As the convoy entered the neutral zone, Alara convened another meeting with the regional leaders. Tension hung in the air, subtle but palpable. The leaders were cautious, wary of hidden motives and potential threats. Alara addressed their concerns with empathy and logic, demonstrating that the Luminar sector sought cooperation, not dominance. During the discussions, a sudden technical alert appeared on the communication console. A minor anomaly in the energy fields of one ship threatened to disrupt the convoy's navigation. Rylan immediately intervened, adjusting power outputs and recalibrating sensors remotely. The alert vanished, unnoticed by anyone except him. It was a small act, but it reinforced a larger truth. Preparation, foresight, and intelligence were as crucial to success as courage and determination. Alara glanced at the console, puzzled by the sudden correction. "Someone is guiding us," she murmured quietly to herself. "Even without being here, someone is ensuring that everything runs smoothly." She felt gratitude and admiration welling up inside her. Though the Queen had forbidden Rylan's direct presence, his influence was undeniable. Humanity's strength lay not only in bravery, but in intelligence, adaptability, and unwavering dedication. That evening, as the convoy continued through the neutral zone, Princess Alara communicated with Rylan through a secure holographic channel. "Commander," she began, her voice filled with quiet resolve, "the systems are responding positively. I can see the results of your guidance everywhere. Even without being here, you shape outcomes that affect entire worlds." Rylan's image appeared calm and steady. "It is not me who shapes the outcomes, Princess. It is preparation, foresight, and attention to detail. Humanity's strength is in its ability to adapt and solve problems. I merely apply those principles." Alara smiled, though the admiration in her eyes was clear. "No, Commander. You do more than apply principles. You anticipate, protect, and guide. That is the mark of someone extraordinary." As their conversation ended, Rylan reflected on the lesson he had always believed. True heroism did not require recognition, applause, or gratitude. It was measured in the outcomes, the prevention of failure, and the quiet ability to protect and guide without confrontation. He had shielded the princess once physically, but now he did so intellectually, emotionally, and strategically. The convoy reached the edge of the neutral zone without incident. Leaders of the rival systems observed the passage, noting the smooth coordination and careful planning that had ensured success. Alara's diplomacy, enhanced by Rylan's unseen guidance, had prevented potential misunderstandings and fostered a sense of trust. Yet the challenges were not over. The final leg of the journey took the convoy through regions known for unpredictable cosmic phenomena, stellar storms, gravitational anomalies, and unstable space currents. Each hazard required careful navigation, precise calculations, and constant monitoring. Rylan worked tirelessly from the command hub, adjusting parameters, rerouting channels, and guiding engineers through complex maneuvers. During a particularly tense moment, a minor gravitational fluctuation threatened to misalign the convoy's formation. Rylan's quick adjustments stabilized the ships, ensuring that no vessel strayed off course. Princess Alara noticed the sudden correction, her eyes widening slightly in realization. "He is here with us," she whispered to herself. "Even when the Queen refuses him, he is guiding us." The day passed, and the convoy arrived at its final destination, a neutral planet known for its diverse leaders and complex politics. Princess Alara stepped onto the landing platform, greeted by ambassadors and diplomats who had observed the journey's seamless progress. She felt a sense of accomplishment and quiet pride, knowing that the success of the mission reflected both her leadership and the unseen influence of Commander Rylan. Back at the palace, Queen Erin received detailed reports of the mission's outcomes. She noted the smooth execution, the positive responses from neighboring systems, and the subtle yet effective guidance that had ensured success. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she studied the information. Humans were capable, yes, but their ingenuity and adaptability had exceeded her expectations. Commander Rylan had demonstrated qualities that even she could not ignore. Later that evening, Princess Alara sent a private message to Rylan. "Commander, I wish you could see the impact of your work firsthand. The leaders are impressed, alliances are forming, and every detail you guided has contributed to success. Even the Queen cannot deny the effectiveness of your influence." Rylan's image appeared, composed as ever. "Recognition is not necessary, Princess. The mission's success is its own reward. Humanity's strength lies in results, not praise." Alara's eyes softened, reflecting admiration and gratitude. "Still, I hope one day the Queen sees what I see. A human whose courage, intelligence, and foresight can shape the fate of worlds without violence or force." As the convoy settled on the planet, Rylan monitored the final adjustments, ensuring that communications, supply lines, and navigational systems were stable. The princess met with the ambassadors, discussing trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and collaborative projects. Every discussion, every agreement reflected careful planning, subtle guidance, and the quiet strength of human ingenuity. The night sky stretched above the planet, a canvas of stars and distant galaxies. Princess Alara looked up, thinking of the journey and the unseen guidance that had made it successful. She realized that true strength was not always visible. It was quiet, persistent, and consistent. It was in the preparation, the foresight, and the ability to adapt. And in that strength, she saw the essence of humanity. Commander Rylan remained at the palace command hub, reviewing data, monitoring progress, and making subtle improvements. The mission was not just a success because of leadership or diplomacy. It was a triumph of human intellect, dedication, and resilience. He had shielded the princess once in the chaos of an ambush, and now he had protected her through strategy, foresight, and unwavering commitment. Queen Erin, reviewing the final reports, allowed herself a rare pause. She had witnessed human ingenuity in action, and even if she did not fully express it, she had begun to understand that courage alone was not the only measure of strength. Humans could influence outcomes, protect lives, and shape events in ways that transcended traditional measures of power. As the planet's twin moons rose over the horizon, casting soft light across the landscape, Princess Alara sent one last message to Rylan for the day. "Commander, the mission has exceeded expectations. I wish the Queen could see what I see. You are more than a protector, you are a force for good, a symbol of humanity's potential." Rylan's voice was calm, steady, and unwavering. "I am honored to serve, Princess. That is all I seek." And in that simple statement, both understood the truth. Heroism was not measured by recognition, titles, or accolades. It was measured in outcomes, in foresight, in the ability to protect, guide, and inspire without force. Humanity's strength lay not only in courage, but in intelligence, adaptability, and heart. The journey was far from over, but the lesson had been proven. Humans could shape destinies, influence outcomes, and safeguard lives through subtle, consistent action. And Princess Alara, standing under the twin moons, felt that the galaxy had glimpsed something extraordinary. A quiet, unyielding force that could change the future without confrontation, without violence, but with intelligence, resilience, and humanity at its core. The twin moons hung low over the neutral planet, casting soft silver light across the smooth metal surfaces of the landing platform. Princess Alara stood with her advisors, reviewing the agreements that had been forged with the neighboring systems. Though the work was demanding, her mind was clear and focused. She had seen firsthand the subtle guidance of Commander Rylan, even from thousands of miles away. and she understood that his intelligence and foresight had been critical to every success. Back at the palace command hub, Rylan monitored communications one last time before returning to his personal quarters. The mission was essentially complete, yet his vigilance never wavered. He knew that true success was measured not only in immediate outcomes, but in the long-term stability of alliances, relationships, and systems. Every adjustment, every prediction, and every precaution contributed to a larger tapestry of safety and cooperation. Humanity, he realized, had a rare and valuable strength, the ability to influence, protect, and inspire without the need for confrontation. Princess Alara stepped away from the diplomats, glancing at the night sky. Her thoughts returned to the human who had quietly shaped her journey. She remembered the ambush weeks ago, how he had shielded her without hesitation, and how he had continued to protect her mission without ever being in the spotlight. His actions had been consistent, intelligent, and thoughtful. It was more than courage, it was humanity at its finest. She reached for her communicator, sending a secure message to Rylan. "Commander, the mission has concluded successfully. Every leader we met was impressed not only with our proposals, but with the smooth execution of the journey. I cannot thank you enough for the guidance you provided. It has been more valuable than words can express." Rylan's holographic image appeared, composed and calm. "Thank you, Princess. It is my duty to ensure your success. That is all I seek." Alara smiled softly. "No, Commander, it is more than duty. It is proof that humanity can achieve incredible outcomes through intelligence, dedication, and foresight. You are a living example of that truth." Meanwhile, Queen Erin reviewed the mission's final reports. She studied the convoy's smooth passage, the subtle corrections that had prevented misalignments, and the diplomatic successes that had resulted from careful preparation and foresight. She could no longer deny the impact of the human officer's work. Commander Rylan had proven that heroism did not always rely on direct action, confrontation, or physical courage. He had shaped the outcome of an interstellar mission through intelligence, patience, and dedication. Yet the Queen, cautious as always, remained reserved. She valued prudence and tradition above all, and while she acknowledged the results, she struggled to fully express her recognition. To do so would mean accepting that humans could influence galactic events in ways that went beyond conventional measures of power. And still, a small spark of understanding had begun to grow within her. Princess Alara returned to her quarters that evening, exhausted but satisfied. She reviewed her notes, considered the alliances that had been formed, and reflected on the lessons learned. Above all, she thought of Commander Rylan. His presence had been invisible to the public, yet undeniable in its effect. His intellect, empathy, and strategic thinking had guided her through a journey that could have been fraught with uncertainty. She allowed herself a quiet moment of gratitude. "Even when the Queen refuses to see it, your guidance has changed the course of this mission," she whispered to the empty room, imagining him standing at the command hub, vigilant and composed. "You have proven what humans can do when they combine courage with intelligence." Across the galaxy, Rylan continued his work, analyzing data, monitoring communications, and ensuring stability in the systems newly connected to the Luminar sector. Even in his absence from the mission, his influence persisted, shaping the future of interstellar diplomacy. He understood that true recognition was not always granted immediately, and that the most important outcomes were those that improved lives, strengthened cooperation, and inspired confidence. In the days following the mission, reports from the planetary leaders arrived, praising the efficiency, foresight, and smooth execution of the convoy's journey. The agreements they had signed promised increased trade, cultural exchange, and collaborative exploration of new territories. Princess Alara forwarded these reports to the Queen, highlighting the seamless nature of the mission and the positive impressions made on the leaders. Queen Erin studied the correspondence in silence. She had been cautious, skeptical even, about allowing a human officer to influence the mission, yet the results were undeniable. Commander Rylan had proven himself not only capable, but extraordinary, demonstrating qualities that even the most experienced diplomats and strategists could admire. His intelligence, calm composure, and unwavering dedication had ensured that a mission fraught with potential complications had succeeded flawlessly. Finally, Princess Alara sought a private audience with her mother. The Queen regarded her with a mixture of curiosity and quiet pride. "You have returned with success, Alara," she said, her voice measured. "The reports indicate that the mission went smoothly, but tell me, what of the human officer you rely on?" The princess took a deep breath. "Mother, he is more than a protector. He guides, anticipates, and safeguards without being seen. His intelligence, foresight, and dedication shaped every step of this mission. Even when you refused him direct presence, his influence was undeniable. He has proven what humanity can achieve, not through force, but through strategy, empathy, and unwavering commitment." The queen remained silent for a moment, considering her daughter's words. Then she spoke slowly, her tone carrying both caution and recognition. "It appears I underestimated him. Humans can indeed have a subtle power that shapes outcomes far beyond their apparent strength. Perhaps there is more to trust than I allowed myself to see." Alara smiled, sensing a shift in her mother's understanding. "You need not acknowledge it fully now, Mother, but know that his guidance has ensured the success of this mission and the trust of the leaders we engaged. His actions reflect the best qualities of humanity." Rylan, observing remotely, was unaware of the private conversation between Queen and Princess. He continued his work, monitoring systems and refining strategies. Recognition was secondary to results. The success of the mission, the safety of the convoy, and the strength of the alliances formed were the true measure of accomplishment. Days turned into weeks, and the diplomatic agreements began to take root. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges flourished, and cooperation among planetary systems strengthened. The Luminar sector's influence expanded, not through force or coercion, but through intelligent planning, consistent dedication, and the demonstration of human capabilities. Princess Alara visited the new alliance councils, observing the implementation of agreements and the coordination between systems. She saw firsthand the value of foresight, patience, and strategic planning. Every successful interaction, every problem prevented, reflected the invisible guidance of Commander Rylan, a reminder that human ingenuity could shape outcomes across the galaxy without confrontation or conflict. Queen Erin observed these developments with measured interest. Though she remained cautious, she could no longer deny the effectiveness of human strategy and intellect. Commander Rylan had demonstrated that heroism could take many forms, not only in action, but in anticipation, preparation, and the quiet application of intelligence. He had shielded her daughter in a physical moment of danger, and now he had shielded her mission and the future of their people through thoughtful guidance and unwavering commitment. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the palace, Princess Alara sent a final message to Rylan. "Commander, the alliances are stronger, the agreements are in place, and the mission has exceeded expectations. Your guidance has made all the difference. Even the Queen must see your value now, though perhaps silently. You are more than a protector, you are the embodiment of what humanity can achieve." Rylan's holographic image appeared, calm and composed as ever. "Thank you, Princess. My only goal is to serve and ensure success." Humanity's strength lies in foresight, intelligence, and dedication, not recognition. Alara smiled softly, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Still, I hope one day the Queen will acknowledge what I see clearly, that you are extraordinary, not just in courage, but in intellect, strategy, and heart." The days that followed saw continued progress in the newly formed alliances. Trade flourished, collaborative projects began, and the planetary leaders expressed confidence in their shared future. Princess Alara's leadership was strengthened by the unseen support of Commander Rylan, demonstrating that humans could inspire and protect without confrontation, without force, but through unwavering intelligence, empathy, and commitment. Finally, the Queen summoned both the princess and the commander to the palace's observation deck. The twin moons bathed the hall in soft light as she spoke. "Commander Rylan, your work has proven the value of human insight and dedication. Though I was hesitant, your guidance has ensured success beyond what I expected. You have shown that heroism comes not only from courage, but from intelligence, foresight, and unwavering commitment." Rylan bowed slightly, keeping his expression composed. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to serve. That is all I seek." Princess Alara stepped forward, her eyes bright. "Mother, he has done more than serve. He has shaped outcomes, safeguarded missions, and inspired trust. He embodies the best qualities of humanity." Queen Erin regarded them both, her expression softening. "Perhaps I was too cautious. You have indeed proven that humans possess a power that is subtle, enduring, and vital. I see now that strength is not only measured by direct action, but by wisdom, preparation, and dedication. You, Commander, have demonstrated that fully. Rylan inclined his head, acknowledging her words without pride or arrogance. He understood that recognition was not the measure of his impact. The success of the mission, the safety of Princess Alara, and the enduring alliances were proof enough. As the night sky stretched endlessly above them, the princess and the commander shared a quiet moment of understanding. The journey had been challenging, yet every difficulty had been met with intelligence, preparation, and quiet heroism. Humanity's strength had been demonstrated not through force, but through foresight, empathy, and unwavering commitment. And in that realization, Princess Alara knew that the galaxy had glimpsed something extraordinary, a subtle but undeniable force capable of shaping outcomes, protecting lives, and inspiring trust. Commander Rylan had proven that heroism could exist without confrontation, that intelligence could guide action, and that the quiet strength of humanity could influence the fate of worlds. The twin moons rose higher, casting silver light over the palace, and the stars above twinkled as if in acknowledgement. Commander Rylan returned to his work, ever vigilant, ever intelligent, and ever dedicated. Princess Alara, inspired by his example, continued to lead with wisdom and empathy. Queen Erin, once cautious, now understood that true strength could take many forms. And so the Luminar sector entered a new era, guided by diplomacy, intelligence, and the quiet heroism of a human who had shown that courage alone was not enough. One needed insight, patience, and heart to truly change the galaxy. The mission was complete, but the lessons endured. Humanity had proven itself not through battle, but through foresight, dedication, and the ability to shape outcomes for the greater good. And Commander Rylan, the human who had once shielded a princess in the chaos of an ambush, had now shielded an entire mission, guiding the future of worlds with intelligence, empathy, and unwavering commitment. The galaxy had seen the strength of humans, not in confrontation, but in their mind, their heart, and their persistence. And that perhaps was the greatest victory of all.